Hello, friends, and welcome to Torchbearer Entrepreneur Visibility Summit. I am your host, Helena Grant, and I am so delighted to be welcoming Katerina Satori to our stage. Say hello, Katerina, so everyone can see your beautiful face.
Hi, Helena. So good to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I knew that you had to be a part of this 3-day visibility experience so our audience can start showing up confidently online and grow their impact and captivate more dream clients. And the reason why I had Katerina here is because Katerina's ultimate devotion is to evolutionary consciousness. Her work is focused on guiding visionary leaders to stand fully in this devotion too, through transcending stuck attachments, embodying their genius, and ascending into ecstatic co-creation with life. After moving to the United States at age 23 with $3 in her pocket, Katerina worked towards the spiritual initiation that would forever shape her devotion and anchor her mission. Katerina is a transdimensional seer, wisdom channel, mystical mentor, and forever student of the path of ecstasy. You can find her courses ranging from business brilliance to mystical mastery at katerinasatori.com. Our topic for our conversation today is visibility is leadership, falling in love with being visible consistently as a part of your leadership curriculum. Katerina, I am so excited to have this conversation with you. I had the word curriculum really sticking in my head there. So
Leadership curriculum, yes.
leadership curriculum. So my first question though is what is your definition of leadership?
Yeah. Leadership, um, well, it's an internal process that is reflected in everything we do outside. The first definition of leadership is living in congruence with your ideals and living in alignment with the soul calling that you know you're here to bring forth. So you're leading yourself on the path towards your potential and service to humanity. And then leadership in the modern times for us as emerging thought leaders involves visibility, involves a public ministry, right? So we are, all of us are called to share our voice, and we've never had an easier time to do that with the global connectivity and internet and social media platforms. With a push of a button, your message can reach millions of people, and the only thing that stops us is our own beliefs, right? And our own fears and inadequacies. So leadership is an alchemical path. It will ask you to burn away any old stories and any old beliefs about what's possible for you to create. So it's an alchemical process, right? It's a process of ongoing purification, ongoing refinement, ongoing courage, and also deep, deep satisfaction, to do the work that you're born to do and to do it well with the people that you're meant to serve. It's a very dynamic path. And what I take a stand for is to share this message that we have a unique way to lead. Every single one of us has a unique leadership style. So there is no two leaders alike, right? There is no perfect formula for it. There is a unique style for each leader. You can be an introverted leader, right? You can be a very dynamic extroverted leader. You can be a mystical leader. You can be a scientific leader. But the most important thing is it's a public role. It requires visibility. It requires consistent generosity from us. And it's a deeply alchemical path that will radically transform every aspect of your being.
Oh my goodness. When you were talking, I first almost like burst into tears and I also got chills towards the end. And I would say the emotion that came up for me is so related to the incredible opportunities that we have now that we're literally holding these little mini computer tablets in our hands and the push of a button we can be transmitting to thousands, millions, billions of people all over the globe, and yet also have so much come up around that it can be very difficult to be visible, and inherently leaders need to be visible. But I think too, when you are called into that leadership, that's part of the alchemical process, is that you have to burn off those fears around being visible and around being available, and also around being consistent.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm curious, based on your story and your bio, that you came to the US with $3 in your pocket at 23. When did you really start to feel that alchemical process beginning for the first time for you, where you realized that you really needed to step into new levels of leadership and visibility?
I would say at the time of spiritual awakening, when my spiritual awakening began to develop really rapidly, was 2010. I entered yet another dark night of the soul. I have always felt deep connection to spirit since childhood. But like so many of the light workers, the environment that I chose to incarnate was very dense and very heavy, filled with a lot of chaos and trauma. And just to survive, I had to shut down all of my mystical gifts for my personality to develop and to get to know the ways of the world. So when I came to United States with $3 in my pocket, and I started my very first job was actually a housekeeping job to, clean hotel rooms. I started from completely ground zero, but I didn't stay there more than 30 days. I saw so many possibilities, and I went on streets and asked found two different jobs and quickly start making my way towards my American dream. So I would say first 10 years in the United States, or maybe 8, it was all about pursuing the success, right? And the personal ambition and all of that. And then I went through a dark night of the soul where my health collapsed, and being overworking so much, and my relationship collapsed, and I got really disappointed and disillusioned in the reality, and I went into a deep self search and self discovery. And through that dark night of the soul, I began to hold a very strong prayer to be aligned with my true path. Success without deep, higher meaning was not attractive to me anymore. And I was willing to walk away from that conventional path and to step on the path of the soul. And at the year 33, when I was 33, Spirit called me. I literally received a said, it's time for your mission. This is the time. And then it was just synchronicity and serendipity. I met my very first client who asked me to, like, how do I work with you? I'm like, oh, I guess this is the beginning of my new career. And I started publishing videos online. Even before that happened, simply because I've learned so much through that dark night of the soul and my health collapsing and looking for a spiritual root of that physical collapse. And I started sharing online through a video what I was going through and what I was discovering that was healing my soul. There was no intention to build a business around that. There was simply a passion and a desire to share what I've discovered. And out of that sharing and being on a video, people began to listen. First, it was just 5, 10 people, maybe 15, but slowly that process of sharing myself on the video catalyzed the whole momentum and the whole movement. And a few years later, 8 years later to be precise, I am running international educational company that gives people tools and mindset and energetics of how to stand boldly in their soul assignment and how to do it both intuitively and strategically. I train wisdom teachers how to think as entrepreneur, right? It's not just enough to focus on developing our craft. It's a very noble intention, and we'll continue to do that. And for us to create a lifestyle that provides for us and nourishes us, we must make a choice to think as entrepreneurs, right? And to develop those skill sets. So that was my journey and my process, and to really find the true Dharma and then develop the skills and entrepreneurial mastery and the mindset to be in my Dharma fully and live a thriving life.
Mm. Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, entrepreneurs have, especially soul led spiritual entrepreneurs who we are speaking to here with this summit, so many more abilities, tremendous gifts, a lot of conditioning that they have to get over. And following that unconventional path means that you need that much more of the tools, the mindset, the strategy as you are also developing spiritually. And as you touched on when you were talking about the definition of leadership, that this is an alchemical process that's continuous. And even for me, it's like if I fall off like a couple days without my own practices, it's like, wait a second, who am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? What's happening? And it's so easy to lose sight of who you really are authentically, truly, and in that dharmic space as well, when we don't necessarily have the society around us that fully supports that and cultivates it from a young age. But at the same time, I think that this soul-led entrepreneurial path is becoming more conventional, especially with people like you, Katerina, for the last 8 years, just showing up online. And even with 5 people, it was just so authentic and so aligned that it just blossomed from there. And I think that's something that people can really take away from of the many things coming through you in this conversation. But that reminder that it's finding what is so deeply you and what you are so passionate about that you just have to share. It doesn't matter that you don't have 500 people on your first video. It can start with something so small because it's coming so genuinely from your soul.
Yes, yes. And if we learn from nature, right, every seed is a tiny seed that is planted, and it takes a whole year to grow something. You know, we live in this very artificial conditioning of instant gratification. You know that you can put some pesticides in the soil and the seed will just grow faster, but then by what cost, right? So sometimes we become impatient with the process, with the organic process of growth. How do you grow anything organically? Consistency, right? The right environment, love, and patience. And I really apply that into our business, that we all start small. We all start with our couple of friends and our mom supporting us, right? Our parents supporting us. And then what builds any movement is that passion, our soul lit up on with the passionate message. And the way we tap into our message is, what does our life demonstrate? When our life is our message is so compelling because you share what you personally transformed, and you go deeper into that story of personal transformation and the triumph of human spirit. That's always been my message. What is possible for human spirit, right? That we can start with very humble and challenging circumstances, and something in our soul will access the power and rise like that phoenix. Wow. And these are the voices that we are inspired by when we hear that story of transformation. So I'm here to encourage so many of us to believe in the power of our story and to dare to keep sharing our voice. Our voice is needed to be heard. And sometimes we begin to doubt ourselves. Oh, is my story unique enough? Is my story compelling enough? And what I'm here to share, you're not here to reach everybody. You're here to reach your soul group another word to say it, your soul fractal, right? The group of souls that is connected to you through these mysterious spiritual webs that when you leap into your visibility, into your courage, everybody who is connected to you on a soul leap, on the soul level, they feel this pull towards expansion because we are connected to everything. We're interconnected. Every act of courage that we make impacts entire web of life. And this is how we shift the collective. This is how we shift what is possible for us as humanity. So visibility is not just this personal process of self empowerment, it's a collective empowerment where we realize we all deserve to express our voice. Our story matters. We can find our unique style of leadership. There is no perfect formula for it. We're not following some kind of a heroic model. We are all imperfect humans who daring to believe in something higher for the benefit of all.
Yes. And of course, we have now the literal web that is connecting us and enabling so many people to show up online. And you mentioned when you began your entrepreneurial journey that you just started sort of posting videos about 8 years ago. And so you've had a really like front row seat to the evolution of this available resource to us. So I'd love for you to speak more about how leadership is available to us being online and really leveraging that in our journeys.
Yes, yes. Well, the power of a video is that people can really tap into your frequency. So much of the communication, 80% of the communication is nonverbal. So people can feel you, right? On a video. To me, when I realized this incredible opportunity to transfer my essence via video, it was a game changer. And when a live stream option became available, it was such a pivotal point in my own journey because I did well with pre-recorded video, but nothing brought so much aliveness to my expression knowing that there's people here on the live stream with me. And I know it can bring up a lot of fear for a lot of people, but I help them reframe fear masks desire.
Mhm.
You actually crave to express yourself on a live video. You just don't have the practice yet or experience or just you haven't had enough reps, right? It's a matter of repetition. Get your first 10, 20, 30 live streams that can be awkward or imperfect. Just get them out and then develop the intimacy with the moment. Live stream video will help you become more aware as a leader, more present. You will learn the power of your own energetics. There's just so many possibilities. And when you stack the reasons of like, I'm going to grow in this way, I'm going to grow in this way, I'm going to grow in this way, you will, there's going to be so many more reasons for you to become consistent with that way of delivering your message. And you will see incredible growth. People connect on a live video. I really see live streams and a live video is the leading way for us as leaders to take our message to a bigger audience. And it's an incredible opportunity that we have not had before. Wayne Dyer did not have a live stream. He had to go from a radio station to a radio station, give free talks to promote his books, right? If Wayne Dyer, with all his genius and all his brilliance, still had to be so proactive and getting his books into the world, I think there is a lot to learn for us from his example. The same as Yogananda, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Paramahansa Yogananda, when he came to the United States in 1930, bringing the science of yoga to the West, nobody knew him, right? He had such a name and recognition and students and a whole school in India. He came to the United States, no brand, no following, nobody knows who he is. And what he was doing, he was leading with service, with generosity. He stepped into a very public leadership by giving hundreds of free spiritual lectures. And soon people began to gravitate to his magnetism, to this passion of the soul, even if he had a very thick Indian accent that at times he was very self conscious of. That did not stop him, and people will gravitate to the message, to the passion, and to his consistency. We can learn a lot from his example as well.
Amazing. Yes. And of course, the live streaming, I love this reminder, by the way. Thank you. That people can really be in your energy and you can also be benefiting from theirs. It's highly sensational to do live streaming, but you have access to people in a completely different way than if you're just trying to sort of put together a pre-recorded video that you think someone's going to be getting. You can really be interacting with the people that are there. And then it also is, I think, just so innately human for people to have that experience of someone who's so alive to them. And you do get that in a video replay, right? But when someone's really there in the audience listening to you, it harkens back to someone being available to a minister who is delivering a message in real time. It's the in real time, I think, that adds an extra layer of potency. And then on top of it, the algorithm. So the strategy of the live streaming is you're rewarded by the deity that is social media when you do live stream, right?
I love that you call it like that because I often refer it to this too. I love
I that has been a huge part of my journey in really looking at social media as a deity. Zoom is a deity for sure. So all of the social media platforms are different variations of deities, and they love to look at your content as an offering to the universe. Truly, they're just a vehicle of universal archetypal energies. And we get to engage with them in a very beautiful, beautiful way. And I think that if you do start to think of your posts, your live streams, this is my offering to this deity that I get to interact with and gets to just shower me with gifts, which are followers, which are likes, which are comments, which are shares, which are stories. All of these are, it's just such abundance is there. Such abundance is there.
I love that you and I are so deeply aligned in the way we see social media. So many times I encourage people to really upgrade their attitude
Mhm.
towards it, from looking down, looking at it like, oh, it's a distraction. I lose my self-control. It's not the tool, it's your lack of self-mastery. So, when we take a deeper responsibility of our relationship with technology, we can put some things in place that can really make that relationship healthy and balanced. And just like you, Helena, I saw social media as one of the incredible gifts from technology gods. I was like, thank you so much. And I also see it as a ministry,
Mhm.
as a way of nourishing your community with your consistency, with your generosity, with your truth, with your playfulness, right? And, like I am known in my community being very consistent with my offers. I am not shy to make consistent offers to my community. And it's so well received because all of my offerings are deeply weaved with consistent beam of inspiration, value. When you come to my page, you can always find something uplifting, something really valuable, right? And a way to engage with me in the free experience and this experience. There's just so many possibilities. So we can unleash our creativity, right? And we can dance in these platforms as our virtual stages. I always thought it's my virtual stage, right? Where I can express the art of my soul. And leadership can also be seen as art, right? What if we make a leadership as art, an expression of your soul? What would be possible?
What would be possible and how would that feel too?
Yeah,
To
how would that feel?
instead look at it as this beautiful work of art that you are putting into the world and that you literally can't get wrong. As long as
Yes.
it is coming from that deeply aligned, authentic soul space, there is no failure. It's only success. And you're only going to keep learning and only going to be continuing to master yourself and your energy throughout the journey.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
I love that. And I wanted to touch back too on what you said about fear masking desire, because I look at fear and desire as two sides of the same coin. You know, we're like, oh, I'm so afraid of this. I don't want this. And it's like, oh, okay, but what do you want? What is there? And I'm curious, what recommendations would you make to someone who's just hearing us talk about live stream, for instance, and they're like, oh, no way. I'm terrified. I'm way too scared to do that. What recommendations would you make to someone going through that?
Yeah. A gentle process of self-inquiry
Mm.
would be really helpful. And I access my subconscious the most direct way through writing, outside of meditation and trance and hypnosis. But writing can be so simple, and it can start with something like this. What do I believe might happen if I let go of this fear, right? Or what do I believe might happen if I become visible, if I allow myself to be seen? There is some kind of a conflict in our subconscious mind that says, if I do this, I will lose. Things will become more difficult. And when we unlock the deeper truth, right, through that gentle process of sitting with this energy and saying, you know, what do I dare to discover in this process? What would be possible for me? And what would happen if I would lean into this fear instead of wasting so much energy suppressing and avoiding and pushing against this fear? You're wasting a lot of creative
It's
potential,
such a
right?
huge drain. It is. To be in
Right.
that fearful, constricted state, to stay there is so exhausting.
So exhausting. And when we remember universal laws and the law of polarity,
Yes.
so
My favorite, my absolute favorite.
here's courage. And it's just a mental shift, right? When we focus on the fear, we're stuck there. Just shift the focus to courage. What would happen when you give yourself permission to take one step of courage? And courage is accessed in the moment. It's not some kind of a mysterious quality that very few special people have. You unlock courage, right, by choosing to trust the moment. With a live stream video, I always give this very practical suggestion. And I say, set an intention, center yourself, make sure that you can enter as deeply relaxed state of being as possible. Does breath work help you get there? Breathe for 10 minutes. Does meditation help you get there? Great. Looking at the picture of your pet, does that help you get there? Do whatever it takes, right? But enter the state of an open, receptive heart vibration. And then click on the live video and simply open with silence and take a deep breath together. And whatever you feel, you can just name this. You can just say, this is my very first live stream. And some part of me is absolutely terrified, and some part of me is deeply excited for this moment. And it's disarming when you decide to name what you feel in the moment. It's so disarming to people to see, witness so much vulnerability and authenticity and realness. You're not trying to impress anybody, you're not trying to pretend that you're not nervous. Be nervous and name it, right? It is beautiful. And then you just notice this alchemy. What happens in you where you stepped into the moment and you discovered the moment is able to hold you fully? And there's a new sense of aliveness comes online, right? Every time we lean into the fear, a new sense of aliveness and empowerment comes online, and we begin to enjoy the process, and soon we begin to love the process. Because the moment you find yourself feeling like you have a real relationship with your online community, it's not just a bunch of faces of strangers you've never met. You begin to notice, oh, you know, Barbara is engaged with me, Laura is here, Tom is liking my post. You begin to, this is a real people who are engaging with your content, and you begin to form relationships with them. And then you begin to realize, you know, if you don't show up, people will miss you and you miss them. And there is this whole magic that begins to unlock. So the moment you start seeing online community, a relationship, right? A relationship. And that makes it all so much joyful and exciting. Nobody needs to twist your arm and motivate you to show up. You do it out of a genuine desire to connect with your people.
That's so gorgeous. And I feel that that can really also blossom into it being really easy to be consistent. I think a lot of people have that barrier, not just the fear around showing up initially, but then, oh, I'm going to have to show up all the time. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But when you have these relationships, that consistency then can be very organic and fueled by that genuine connection that you have with the people that are responding and interacting with you and your content. But you mentioned that you're kind of considered the queen of consistency. And I would love for you to share more about what's involved in getting to that level where really, I'd say even consistency is just natural, innate, constant, and just very, very easy.
Yes, thank you. Love of my craft. Deep love of my craft. I love my craft so deeply, Helena, that I continue to discover new layers of it. And when I find these new insights, I don't have a scarcity mindset that says I gotta hold all my insights so nobody takes them or nobody like copies them. I am connected to this stream, to this fountain of inspiration that will never run out. And I find that the more I share, the more inspiration comes to me. So it is such an organic process. And that's why I always encourage people, find what you love. What is the message that if you knew you only had 30 days to live, what is the message that you would leave behind? Or if you had 100 people on the edge of their seats waiting to hear with genuine curiosity what you would say, what would you teach? What would you share? What would you say that was worth sharing? And when you find that deep message, then there is going to be so many layers that you can bring it forth. And when it comes to consistency is that first letting go of the shackles of perfectionism, where you may be thinking, you know, I'm obliged to show up or people expect me to show up. That will kill the magic. When you find the ways like what would bring me joy, what would make it fun for me, right? And what I find what makes it fun is authentic expression. I used to have a blog around email. You know, I had a story around it. I was like, I want to do it. I don't, oh, it's such a burden. And the reason why it felt so heavy is because I had a belief that my emails had to be perfect, that nobody would judge me. You know, I'm a Russian born, so English is my second language. So there is a very high chance that if you're on my email list, you will get an email and there's going to be a syntax mistake or something, you know, or something I'll express. They'll be like, oh, she's not a native speaker. I write as I speak. But the moment I made a decision, I'm going to write as I speak, right? Challenges with email consistency just dissolved. So many times when people say, I have a challenge with consistencies because they have these unrealistic expectations. They need to be perfect each time, right? And instead, I help them remember be real each time. And when you're real each time, you just be you, be consistently you. And boom, that just connects with people. And they say, I can be consistently me, I can be real, right? And that opens up their expression and it becomes easier and fun and joyful.
Mm, be real, be you, and then the consistency will just come from there. And I think that that is definitely very resonant for a lot of people listening, that the perfectionism is really the biggest barrier to them showing up consistently. And I think too, especially with the written word, it's like, oh my God, this is going out to so many people and it's out there forever. And what if I put the comma in the wrong place, or I don't have the apostrophe? It is, or is it possessive, and those can just trip you up endlessly. And people aren't actually looking for that sort of academic writing when they're engaging with your content. They want to feel like you are literally sitting down and talking to them. They want the intimacy. And I speak from experience that I was a creative writing and French double major in college. So language was so important, and especially in French. I mean, if you don't put the accent in the right place, you get the whole thing wrong. And so one strategy that I've utilized is that I use a transcription service. So I speak what the message is, and then it gets transcribed, and then I can edit it a little bit, but at least it's coming through as my spoken voice versus my written voice, because it's also a very different experience to type. This is a very new physiological activity for humans to type on a keyboard within the last 100 years. And the keyboard is not, it's designed so it's difficult to type this at the same rate we think. The A and the S are put there because it's hard. It would jam the typewriter if they were in a spot that was better for how fast we could actually be going. I digress. But
I love that.
if we speak as if we're talking to the people we want to be talking, if you can't do the live stream, or even transcribing the live stream into a written message that you could be putting on email, you're going to right there be more you in the written word, and be bringing that intimacy that's in the conversational tone that you'd be speaking to someone, into your writing. And it's easier to get over the perfectionism when you're here, you're talking, you've got the live stream going, versus, oh my God, I have to sit down and write 1,000 words to my email audience and tell them about my new offering. It's like, no, you actually just have to open your mouth and make sounds.
I love that. It's so good. It's so good.
It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true. And that is, again, where we find ourselves now with, I think, the technology we have available to us aligns so closely with the unbelievable awakening that humanity is undergoing right now. It's like the gods are giving us this technology because we can handle it. And of course, there are some people that aren't going to handle it well, and they're going to use it inappropriately. And that much more of a reason why we need to be engaging with it as a teaching medium, and also as this beautiful directory to connect with each other and to find one another, and just really make ourselves consistently available.
I love that you brought that up, because one of the biggest gifts of being consistently visible is that my true allies have found me. My true companions of destiny found me, right? My lovers have found me, right? So the dimensional experience of the gifts that you are rewarded by choosing to show up consistently, as real and authentic as yourself, you will find your companions of destiny. And leadership can feel a very lonely journey,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be this way. We can open ourselves up to these authentic connections, right? Like today we are meeting and we're having these incredible conversations, and I see a kindred soul in you who, you think so similar to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad we're connected. And it's because of the technology that connected us, right? So there's just so many ways. And there's a beautiful time, especially for the female leaders and feminine leaders. So many of us feel that this is the first lifetime that we have so much opportunity to live in our true sovereignty. And we're healing the wounds of so many past lives where this was not the case. And I encourage all of our fellow women to to embrace this possibility and knowing that you don't need to be perfect. Perfection doesn't connect us, it actually isolates us. But authenticity and the warm, available heart, that's what people feel when they connect with you online.
Yeah, perfection divides us. Connection unites us.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And I'd love for you, Katerina, to just touch on too this concept of building community organically and through this being consistently visible, as with really this intention of building that community that's there, that's supporting you in all the ways. If you could tell us a little bit about that, I'm sure everyone would love to hear how you've done that.
Yes, yes, it's been such an inspiring journey because, I have built everything organically, right? I have not run a single ad. Simply out of logic, I've never pushed on the ad. That's not how I am being magnetized to anybody's funnels. I attract people very similar to me who have strong ideals and strong calling. Like, what are the chances of them clicking on any of the ads? Let me just be direct and real and consistent for them. So I like the metaphor of being visible as the sun. Look at the sun. The sun is consistent. The sun gives warmth. The sun shines brightly, right? And when we position ourselves like this, I'm going to emanate warmth and generosity and consistency. And at the very core of everything I do is service. So this is how you grow community, by caring deeply about the people. So many of the people in my community have transformed their lives and their businesses just based on the free content that I gave them through the years. And other part of my community became these incredibly engaged students and clients and people with whom I collaborate, right? There's just so many possibilities. But everything has developed based on genuine service, right? A genuine contribution, genuine desire to empower people, a genuine giving simply because you know these tools, these habits, this perspective and philosophies that transformed your life. They are not yours to hold. They belong to the universe. So you step up and you share and you lead and you grow your community. To me, community is sort of like a garden, right? It's a cultivation of the garden. And when you tend to your garden and you plant the seeds and you show up there, you bring all your love and you trust the organic ways how anything grows, you will begin to see blossoming. Sooner or later, blossoming comes. And it's been just really, really magical to have that, because there is a special magic in community. I never address my community as my followers. I always say, "Hi, dear community. Thank you for being a part of my community. I'm so glad you're my community." And people really feel that. I remember when I led a mastermind, and the key frequency that I desired to bring to that mastermind, I'm speaking to each member as my equal.
Mhm.
And when you treat people like that, they rise to that level the way you see them, right? And I start seeing incredible results, because how you see people, that's how they're going to show up, right? And it's really, really profound shift that we can make as leaders to engage with our community, our mind community, as like valued members of our soul tribe, and people feel it every single time.
Oh my goodness. I'm seeing everyone now hitting the live stream button and saying, "Welcome my esteemed members of my valued tribe." Welcome to
Yes.
my live stream. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so nervous, but I'm just moving through the fear and into the desire to commune with you and be here with you and share with you and see you, help you see yourself the way I see you, because that is how you said it's how people transform when they know they're being seen differently. It helps them see themselves differently.
Yes, that's the
Mm.
number one human desire is to be seen for who we really are. And that's what sets apart a thought leader from merely an influencer, right? And the path of thought leadership, it's not a title, it's not a fancy role that we can play. It's really a place to come from. And a thought leadership is when you take you acknowledge the shoulders that you are standing on, your heroes, your mentors, your teachers, and you are relentless in your devotion to take your industry further than it has been done before. With your innovation, with your devotion, with your unique perspectives, with your consistency. So you're not only seeing your business as your business, but you see it as a lifelong career and is also contribution to your field that you are part of. And you're seeing it, how can I move this field further? What is my contribution? What am I creating that people 25 years from now will benefit from, or 30 years from now? What are we creating? So, again, a conversation of consistency becomes irrelevant when we connect to a higher vision and the higher ideals. Then we are being uplifted by this higher vision, right? And everything elevates because we have this better future that we are building together with others.
Oh my goodness. I just took so many notes just so I can hold on to this amazing definition of thought leader, because I think so many people know that that is a part of their calling, their soul path, their entrepreneurial journey. And to draw the distinction between thought leadership and influencership, you can obviously be influencing as a thought leader, but it's coming from a different place. It's truly this devotion to contributing on a large scale and long term as well. We're not just looking for what about tomorrow? It's like, what about tomorrow's tomorrow, and 7 generations from now, not just 7 minutes from now.
Yes, yes, it's such a game changer, right? It's such a
Mhm.
game changer. I remember there was a moment in my career where just focusing on financial goals became not that interesting to me anymore. And instead, I said, how about I'm going to call in hundreds of students, thousands of students that I can be of service of. And that shift was absolute energetic upgrade,
Mhm.
right? We can focus on how do I get to those 50K months or 100K months, doesn't matter. What if we shift? How can I expand my contribution that every time I teach or lead, I impact entire community? And the will of the whole supports that kind of intention. Slight shift, very different results in energetics because we're putting the will of the whole at the altar of our devotion and not just our personal aim or personal ambition. That is the spirit centered leadership in my perspective.
Which isn't to say personal goals and being, wanting to attain certain levels of income is a bad thing, but it's coming from that deep seated devotion. And I love this: allow the will of the whole to be at the altar of your devotion, and then they support. And then yes, maybe the 50K months are happening, maybe it's even bigger than the 50K, but focusing on that is keeping you from what's really meant for you, which is maybe even bigger than you can
Yes.
envision.
Yes. Yeah. And life always supports life. So when we channel life, when we channel intelligence of life, we will always be supported. Whenever, like true entrepreneurial journey, it will involve peaks and valleys, right? We will all inevitably will hit a plateau that will require us to innovate and to expand new skills. So during those unsettling, frightening times of a plateau,
Mm.
I always encourage people to focus on doubling their service. I'm like, this is what, if you are in the dark, if you are finding yourself in the struggle, shift your focus to service. It will nourish you, it will sustain you, it will open up incredible opportunities for yourself, for you, and it will never fail you. And sometimes oftentimes I would go through some chapters of deep personal melancholy, like existential sadness just comes over me. And every time, creativity and service are two wings that uplift my spirit. And I have found that it always works when we shift our focus to be of contribution. The alchemy continues to happen. We still receive our personal transformation, and we are nourished and sustained by service.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful image of the wings of creativity and service, just enabling you to move past those moments of existential questioning and crises that often accompany this path of thought leadership, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
but it's all a part of the full spectrum of being human and being a human right now too, with everything that is available to us.
Yes.
Katerina, what an absolutely amazing conversation. I feel like this could go on for hours and hours. And I hope that everyone will jump on and sign up for your newsletter so that they can experience your wonderful emails and all of the beautiful invitations that you send out for connecting with you and experiencing your work. And I wonder if you have any final words for our audience about visibility, consistency, community building, whatever it is that wants to come through you. I'd love for you to share.
I would encourage everyone who is listening to this conversation to embrace the fullness of their leadership curriculum, and to see the beauty in the alchemy, and to see all the gifts of transforming your consciousness and liberating yourself from the stories that hold you back, and really see an incredible opportunity of global connectivity and all the technology that we have available, and find your allies, find your tribe, find your supporters, support other people, right? Really celebrate other people's visibilities, other people's success, other people's courage, because when we bless other people who shine in their soul light, we simply bless ourselves. There's only one consciousness expressing itself in many different ways, right? So that's another way that you can grow and expand by supporting and uplifting others. And whatever you give back, it comes back to you 10, 100 times over, right? That would be my encouragement, to believe in the power of your transformational story, to believe in the power of sharing your unique perspective, to believe in the power of your presence, and to trust in organic growth of your community, of your career, of your leadership, and really allow that organic growth to happen. And um, and to do whatever it takes to nourish yourself first, so you can be a nourished leader, to make this journey of thought leadership sustainable and playful and joyful and expansive.
Mm. Oh, yes. So important to be a nourished leader so that you can come from that place of joy, excitement, and ecstatic creation. Ah,
Yes.
yes. Well, thank you so much, Katerina. What an absolutely glorious conversation. And I'm just so honored to have you as a part of Torchbearer.
Thank you so much for having me. It was pure delight.